there. And we have a full-packed show for you today. Of course, yes, a fiesta comes your way momentarily, where we shall be slicing and dicing matters of politics as far as the political tone and tenor in the country is concerned. But before then, let's see what we have in the weather today. All right, this is what you're waking up to. Today's publication of the Standard. Don't gamble with tax. Finance bill. Captains of industry are warning the government that tinkering with the taxation regime will lead to businesses shutting down, massive job losses, further increase in cost of living, and failure by taxmen to grow tax collection, which negates the whole sense of collection. This story is tucked away on page 4 and 5 of the Standard today. And some of the sentiments relayed here are also published. We have Maxwell Okello, CEO, American Chamber of Commerce, who said the proposed rate of 2.5%, whilst borne in addition to other taxes, fees and levies applicable on motor vehicles, proves extremely punitive. Also, Christine Minor, that is the East African Venture Capital Associate CEO, he says introduction of VAT on financial services will make the services more expensive as additional costs will be passed to consumers. This may hamper growth. Philip Kaikai, ISPAC chairman, he says, quote, increased deductions on the gross emoluments of salaried employees continue to reduce the disposable income on this segment of Kenyans. And we have Agnes Musuha, Yata country manager, East Africa. He says by keeping all aircraft at VAT exempt status, domestic travel will increase in volume. But of course, this is a 16% that is bound to be increased on aircraft parts, which now Yata country manager are crying, of course, about this. They're saying if at all that is going to be increased, also the cost of airfare is going to go up. Steve Okoth, KICC director, BDO, says this additional operational cost will make businesses less profitable and result in higher prices for consumers. This is all about the taxes. Don't gamble with tax. This is what the industry players are saying. Also, rage. This is road rage there. Why motorists beat up policeman. Suspect accused of beating up a traffic officer says he was angry over his demands and decided to resolve the matter physically, opening the debate of safety of officers on duty. And this story is on page 6 and 7 of the publication today. All right, it seems the fertilizer story is not really out of the woods yet, and LSK sues Lunturi over fertilizer saga. The Law Society of Kenya has dragged the minister to court, arguing that he has a stake on what transpired and is equally to blame for fake fertilizer scandal. The whole process that we saw in Parliament, the LSK says, was shambolic. The story is tucked away on page 13 of the Standard today. Financial Standard also comes your way today. Why clean cooking is a gold mine for schools. You can follow the story inside the publication today. Looking at the teaser on top here, Ruto Gachagua thief putting country in election mode. And that is on page 10, I should say, of the publication today. Down to task for Mexico's new president. And that is a historic move there, having a now female president in Mexico. Africa pushes back on global financial order. This is on page 33 of the Standard. And what Kenya basks in World Rugby Sevens glory. That story on page 48 of the Standard this morning. The Daily Nation up next. Harsh reality of new varsity fees is what is the splash today. And reading the flag of their education, help has not been allocated adequate funds to issue loans to all students. Funding model wars, students and their families are being forced to choose university courses they can afford rather than those they qualify for and aspire to study under the new funding model introduced last year. Investigations by the Nation show, and meanwhile, first-year students who are first to use the model have already accumulated huge fees balances, which is set to increase even further as they progress. And you have a story on page 7 of the publication today. This is a devastation there of a tanker that exploded yesterday there. And we can see a police officer at the scene of a gas tanker explosion at pipeline on Outer Ring Road in Nairobi. One person was injured in the incident. And you have a story on page 6 of the Daily Nation today. KANU loses plot and fight for KICC. Plans by independent party KANU, that is the Independence Party KANU, to reclaim the Kenyatta International Convention Center have been dealt a blow after a judge ruled that it illegally acquired a title deed to the land where the building stands. You have a story on page 12 of the Daily Nation this morning. Did they have to die? That is probably in question there. And you can read all about these faces inside the Healthy Nation magazine in this Daily Nation today. Finance bill. New battles on Furuto Rigathi. That is what we have as a splash today. Raising levy, Gachagua and his troops vigorously oppose parts of the tax law as it stands. They are at odds. Rigathi allies say State House backing young Mount Kenya leaders to weaken him. And you have a story on page 4 and 5 of the publication this morning. And also coming out a day in the life of a male sex worker. Also camps emerge in Azimio amid plot to succeed Raila. Secret camps have emerged in Azimio, La Umoja, amid a protracted scheme to succeed Raila Odinga, whose departure for the local parties or from the local parties is imminent. Raila is eyeing top African Union Commission job, an endeavor that could lock him out of local politics should he succeed after dominating the scene for decades. And woman with disability defied family now fights for PWDs. And that story on page 17 of the Star this morning. Let's see what the People Daily is holding for us. Ruto's 1.1 billion shillings for luxury rejected. And this is what Nyakango, she's saying, that is the control of budgets. In the first 9 months of financial year 2023-2024, the National Treasury approved 66.72. That is 66.72 billion shillings. That is budget. Out of the amount, 700 million shillings will have gone towards construction of dyes at State House Gardens and remaining 400 million shillings for purchase of motor vehicles. You have a story on page 7 of the publication today. Kanu suffers blow in tough battle for KICC. All that inside today's publication of the People Daily. Aliyemlima polisi ajua hajui. That is what we have on the front page of Taifa Leo. Ian Njoroge wa miaka 19 kufikishwa leo mahakamani kujibu shtaka la jaribio la kuua na ukiukaji wa sheria za trafiki. You can follow the story inside the publication today, and you see an insert there of him going ham and tongs on a police officer, and that story is tucked away inside the publication today, raising a lot of questions regarding our young people right now. Where is a modicum of morality, respect, even for the rule of law and for, of course, the structures in society today? We're taking matters into our own hands, right? Where will we raise accusatory fingers right now? Should it be our schooling maybe, or maybe our parenting as well? Where did it happen? That is everyone's questions that is hanging on the rafters of their minds as well. Mpambe atua kwa miamba wefa Real, right? That is where he's been nabbed now. He's in Real Madrid. And you can follow the story on page 20 of Taifa Leo today. Trump akana dai la Clinton afungwe. That is the story on page 8 of the publication today. All right, let's buckle down to some business where best worst counties to get quality jobs. They're all listed here today. Services replace industry in creating well-paying jobs. 2/3 working in agriculture in 12 of 47 counties. And you have illustration of this today. Top gross county product per capita. The highest GCP per capita was recorded in Nairobi. Of course, this is just likened to the GDP. Now, this is for the counties. And we have Nairobi leading there, and followed by Mombasa, Nyeri, Embu, Nyandarua. And also looking at the map of Kenya there, the red ones, bottom gross county product per capita, the lowest GCP per capita was recorded in Mandera. Those are the regions that you can see marked red. And, well, the green is not indicated what it does distribute here, or it does indicate. But you can read the rest of the story inside the publication today, inside the Business Daily. Locals beat Chinese firms in 8.9 billion shillings last mile power deals. And that continues on page 2 of the publication today. Kenyan's firms beat their Chinese counterparts in the fight for billions of shillings under the last mile power connectivity, backing a trend where companies from the Asian economy have dominated local contracts. That story on page 2 of the publication today. I don't know why I'm bapping today. Also, insurers warn of job losses on VAT plans. Insurance firms are warning that the proposal to introduce value-added tax on insurance services such as brokerage will increase premiums, trigger job losses, and hurt uptake further. In Kenya, worry to go through. And you have a story on page 3. EPRA hits new IPPs with 12% tariff cuts. And also Credit Bank secures anchor investor NEC listing plan backing. And foreigners extend run as net buyers of shares of NEC. That is on page 14 of the publication today. We cross over to Uganda, where we have Museveni giving a stern warning. Don't play with us. Museveni tells gays, remember this month is the Pride Month, and the LGBT community is looking at the storied history where they began and what has been their strategy to normalize, legalize abortion. Not really abortion, but of course, this is all about the queer behavior. You have a story on page 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the publication today. Even as this is happening, remember also they were celebrating Martyrs' Day in Uganda, and these were questions that were becoming very prominent during the celebrations, as you can see it here. Remembering saints, President Museveni uses the Martyrs' Day celebrations in Namugongo to tell those criticizing Uganda because of its stance on homosexuality that the country is a land of martyrs and cannot be cowed into silence. You have a story inside the publication this morning. Also, June to August to be dry, weather experts warn. We have conflicting news about this because in other publications, they say that it's going to be a rainy season. But let's see. That is what the Uganda National Meteorological Authority indicates. You can follow the story on page 7. How massacre farmers are keeping thieves at bay. Maybe that is happening in Uganda. I thought maybe the East African region, according to what we have from the World Meteorological reports, indicates that rain is going to be with us still. And we should be bracing for more rains, devastating, of course, floods as well. How massacre farmers are keeping thieves at bay. That is on page 11 of the Daily Monitor today. Ramaphosa faces up to NC's worst poll result in 30 years. That is on page 28 of the publication this morning. And Rainbow Silver Spoon School holds Sports Day. What am I saying? That is on the sports pages of the Daily Monitor this morning. The Citizen is up next. How slot machines fuel gambling among minors. That is the splash today. Minors are being drawn into underage gambling by the proliferation of slot machines, whose operators seem to care little about the age of those using them. 7,697 in 2022-2023. The gaming board was expected to issue 7,697 licenses, including 1,923 and 5,774 renewed permits, according to the 2023-2024 budget speech delivered in Parliament on June 15th, 2023. And you can follow the story on page 4, a special report inside the Citizen, if you're waking up in Tanzania, that is. And what next after poll results in South Africa? An abiding question there. South Africa has elected its 400-member National Assembly, and for the first time in the country's 30 years of post-apartheid democratic rule, no single party holds an absolute majority. And no Dalmatians in expansion of Kida Road. That is on page 2 of the Citizen as well. Machumu to step down after 2 decades with MCL. Right. That is the publication or the media house in Tanzania that publishes the Citizen. You have a story inside on page 3. New Times in Rwanda. Kayonza. Rwanda-Tanzania cross-border trade on the rise. An estimated 80% of Rwanda's cross-border trade is small-scale and informal. This story continues on page 3, and also we can see Prime Minister Ngirente and Ambassador Liu Yuxi discussing Rwanda-China cooperation. Right, that is a scene of Rwanda there, and they're exchanging pleasantries, of course, and posing for the camera. Also, from screening to treatment, Rwanda's strategy towards hepatitis elimination, hepatitis C that is, and Rwanda women entrepreneurs win International Hour Prize for impactful, innovative ventures. That story on page 8 of the publication today. This week's The East African is holding the cash crisis that EAC is facing. EAC in limbo on cash crisis. Critical organs of the bloc, such as the regional courts and assembly, have been forced to defer sittings as partner states hold $40 million in unpaid remittances. This story is on page 4 and 5 of the publication today. And the African economic model we want. This is what was happening last week as the African Development Bank was holding and launching its Africa Economic Outlook 2024 at the Africa Development Bank annual meeting in Nairobi. And you can see chairperson of the AU Commission, that is Musa Faki. Also, we have the president of Africa Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, and President William Ruto, and Kenya's Treasury Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndung'u at the launch. Battered ANC takes stock 6 coalition. South Africa's ruling party on course to lose majority for first time in 30 years. Ramaphosa likely to face calls to quit over poor showing. No respite for besieged Uganda speaker after UK sanctions on Anita among Washington has come with standoff stuff. And that story on page 6 of the publication this week. Lastly, let's see what the China Daily is holding for us. China to boost policy support for smart cars, vehicles to get mobile phone numbers, drive multi-billion-dollar opportunities, and Claudia Sheinbaum, that is a new presidenta, as they say in Spanish. Former energy scientist Claudia Sheinbaum celebrates her landslide victory in Mexico, or Mexico's presidential election on Monday in Mexico City. The 61-year-old is going to be the country's first woman president. Sheinbaum was earlier the mayor of Mexico City. All right, this story is on page 7 of the publication. Congratulations to her. And Chinese-Malaysian student act as a messenger of mutual friendship. That is all inside the publication today of the China Daily. And those are your dailies this morning. I will be, of course, also giving you the editorial cartoons and other publications. But before I sign off from the paper review, The Economist is up. Meet America's most dynamic political movement. This is what we have inside the publication today of the Daily Nation, not the Daily Nation, but the Economist. All right, I'm being distracted here a bit. That's why I'm saying the Daily Nation. And of course, you can read also about the 3 women who will shape Europe. Boomers loaded and stingy. Generation rent goes global. The stakes in Mexico's election. And this story is inside the publication this morning. Yes, we have Okongo Omogeni with us. He's been missing in action for a while now. It's good to see him back. And also, a lot of senators today will be airborne heading to Mombasa, where the committee meetings will be held from different committees to just thrash out matters of public interest as well. So we shall also be asking them what are some of these committees are all about in Mombasa today. Okongo Omogeni, good to see you. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. You can tell us where you've been, your whereabouts. Have you been globe-trotting?
No.
You have a new jet as well, or you jetted back, you can tell us?
I was not lucky to be among those who are on a private jet to the US. But I've taken a break a bit. It's good to give room to others also to come and engage the public in this show. But I'm back now. I'm happy to be back, and I've been enjoying the show. Yeah.
Right. How are the people of Nyamira?
People of Nyamira are fine. Just gearing to start elections for T directors. We are in that season where we are preparing to elect new directors. In the tea sector, every 2 years you elect directors who manage our tea factories. So the elections are now due. So we are in campaign mood. for farmers to be given an opportunity to pick directors who will steer the management of the tea industries for another 2 years. Of course, our children are back to school. The rains have now subsided. We don't have a lot of rain. It's back to school, and I think we are back to business now.
All right.
Yeah.
Talking about tea, because you're taking election of directors. Tea director. Yes, I wanted to know, because it seems also in the tea auction in Mombasa, there is a slow uptake of tea, because it seems the harvest was good and there's a glut right now. Are you affected by that? Certainly. There will always be a dip of prices when you produce tea, and when you also don't aggressively market your tea. There is, I think, three years ago, I was in a team of members of parliament who had gone to the US to seek, the authority of the government of US to open that market for Kenyan tea. I think I didn't see that feature when His Excellency the President visited America. But we need to be innovative and seek to expand our market, not from the traditional countries in the East. So anytime you have a lot of rain, you get an increase in green tea leaf delivery to our factories. And at times you also strain the factories, and you produce more. When you take it to Mombasa, when there is bulk tea in Mombasa, at the tea auction, those who buy our tea take note, and they will always try to bid for low prices. You don't get a very good price when there's a lot of tea. But there's an initiative that had been started, and I'm not saying this because Munya is my friend, but there is an initiative that had been started by the then Minister for Agriculture, Peter Munya, and it had 2 components. Number one was to increase the payments to tea farmers on delivery of the green tea to our factories. And he was projecting that in another 3 years, the price of tea per kilo, green tea delivered to our factories, was going to jump up to 50 shillings per kilo. Now farmers are doing at 22 shillings per kilo. And remember that the guys who pluck the tea take up an average of 11, 12 shillings. So from the 22?
Yes.
So we end up with around 10 shillings.
You have the fertilizer, yes. And then remember, you also have to pay for the fertilizer, okay? Then if you have built a factory like in Nyamira, the farmers built a new factory that was opened by CS Munya 2 years ago. You have to pay the banks that gave you the loan to build that factory. So that's another deduction from the farmer. Now you are trying to tell the farmer again that you want to tax their income for the housing levy. That will further reduce the income of the farmer. If there is a farmer who has a car, and a few of them have vehicles, including the vehicles that deliver the tea, the lorries, you are again telling them that you are going to take another tax in the form of motor vehicle circulation. Tax. So we are just being merciless as a country, not even as a country. The government is actually being merciless. It doesn't understand the pain that this farmer goes to get some little money into his pocket. So the policies I'm seeing from the regime are going to put more pain to the Kenyan farmer. The other thing that Munya was projecting to do was to introduce the idea of value addition. When you go to England or US, you get their tea packaged like this coffee. That tea comes from Kenya, but we don't do the
value addition.
The value addition. So Munya was projecting that the government was intending to support farmers so that we have value addition, so that our tea can attract better prices out there. Ideally, Debal, if you paid a farmer 50 shillings per kilo, those who deliver like 600 kilos, and those are now the peasant small-scale farmers, the majority in KICC, you will be able to have farmers who can in a month proudly take home about 30,000. Nowadays, I mean, currently, the best farmer, those small-scale farmers, the ones with 2 acres, 2.5, the best they get in a month is about 12,000. Out of that, about 5,000-6,000 goes to the guy who plucks the tea for you, because they don't have the capacity to do what is happening at the big, multinational farms in Kericho. Those ones have mechanized the tea plucking, so they don't spend a lot of money on labor. But the small-scale farmer has not reached that level. It will not be economical to have those machines, and there is no support they are getting from the government. So you can see how insensitive the Huda government can see.
Why would you also diversify, since there is no increased yield from it?
It seems you don't live in Kenya. You know, we have very small farms.
Indeed, but no, I wanted just to give an example. I think also you share the same frustration with a county like Vihiga, right? Where we have small parcels of land as well. But most of the lands they've ventured into barley farming. Right?
No, you can't do barley farming in KICC. The farms are too small. Dipal. Do you know what the population of KICC is per square kilometer?
But
I'm asking you.
I don't have my
that
geography.
region is that's a highly populated region. KICC is highly populated, so you can't do things like barley. You know why we do tea is because traditionally, at the end of the year, we used to have what you call bonus. Okay? The government will retain some shillings for the farmer, and at the end of the year, you will get some, bulk payment at the end of the year, and that helps farmers to offset some of the necessities in life, like paying school fees. Okay, like maybe setting money aside to pay for fertilizer. The deductions would normally be huge when you get your tea bonus. But if you work with me, during BBI, there was a proposal that was in BBI to adopt what happens in the US, where you have guaranteed income for the farmer, where the government would set a minimum price for tea and other agricultural produce, even maize. And you tell the farmer that no matter the prevailing climatical conditions or the market, the deterioration of the market out there, the government will guarantee that a farmer will get, for example, that price I was telling you, of 50 shillings per kilo. So you create an incentive for the tea farmers. You also give them an income that brings some dignity to that occupation of farming. Because if you travel to countries like Australia, a person who is engaged in agricultural farming, like dairy farming, you will find that generations, you will find that activity being undertaken by a third generation. The grandfather used to own the farm in the 1900s, left it for the father. Now the son is manning it. Because the income is profitable. That's why you saw a lot of agitation from farmers from central Kenya.
Yeah.
And remember, the blame used to be President Uhuru Muguka Kenyatta then was killing the dairy industry because he owned, what do you call this factory? Brookside, But the bigger picture, if you ask me what is the bigger picture is to ensure that you give farmers a decent income from that occupation. Those guys in that country, I'm telling you, as Australia, you will find those are guys who have gone to school up to university, but they come back and take farming as an occupation. I was taken to a farm when we were in that government delegation to the US in Maryland called Purdue Farming. They do dairy farming. The same thing, second generation farmers. The farm used to be owned by the father, passed over to the sons, 2 of them, and they are running it, and they supply the milk to Washington, and they are doing it with a decent income. But In Kenya today, whether you talk about the tea farmer, sugarcane farming in Sony, the farmers are shedding tears. It is pain and pain. I think that's not the way to do. And you know that we used to be told when we were in school that agriculture is the backbone of our economy.
Indeed.
But as a government, we have not done enough to support our farmers.
Right. Thank you.
Worse still, you saw what we did to them when we brought these subsidized fertilizer. We gave them fake fertilizer, okay? So you are not going to have a very good
Thank you.
harvest from
it will be suppressed because that will affect it.
From crops like maize, because that fake fertilizer will have an adverse effect on the harvest.
Thank you.
So that is really the picture now. How the Uda government treats our farmers, because I'm not part of Uda government. So I hope we will see a government that is more sensitive to those very hardworking people in our economic sector.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Let me rope in Senator Dan Mazu. Just checked in. Today is wearing a Chinese collar.
Rwandese.
This is Rwandese.
Rwandese, yes.
Yeah, it's good to see you, because I know today you're airborne after this, right?
Yes.
So it seems a lot of senators today actually are meeting in Mombasa, a lot of committees. I can see Danson Mungatana just flew in from Malawi. Now he's flying to Mombasa. He will not be able to join us. He just texted me.
Yes.
So first of all, before we even head that, congratulations for the National Prayer Breakfast, Chairman of Christian Union of Parliament, for the good coordination that was there.
Yes.
Right? How was it?
Well, it was a moment.
What was your big takeaway?
Yes, so you know the chief guest, former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Lamrat Leyen, spoke of a country which was taken into trouble by leaders themselves. They disagreed, at a political party level, and upon disagree, his government was taken over and he was put to jail. A lot of people suffered out of that, and it took many years for Ethiopia to get back to track. So he was talking of, a country be united for a proper purpose, and a country, is about the people, that the people are most important, not the leaders, and that although he was jailed for many years and his children sent to, refugee camps. When they were very young, one of the kids was, 7 years old. Your father was the prime minister, equivalent of president, and in the next few days you are in a refugee camp. So that there's a need, for the leaders to think of the country first before thinking about themselves. Because when there's a problem, a lot of very innocent people suffer because of decision of leaders. And this message was received very well, and the unity of a nation, the reason why a nation must work together, stay together, and this is a gentleman who is a living example of a nation which has made its people suffer very much out of political differences and political strife, and the case in Ethiopia was a little more tricky because also now military came in, and a lot of people were to escape their own country to go and suffer in foreign countries, and by the time they find their direction, it is difficult. So that was a chief guest, and we had almost 3,000 other guests. We had guests from 10 different countries, led by the US, UK, Germany, our neighbors Uganda, DRC, Congo, all our neighbors around. And we are organized in a way that the Muslims also share with us on the message of hope. The message was hope. How do you give Kenyans hope? How do you give the nation hope? And then after hope, of course, is success. You don't want to give empty hope. You don't want to encourage Kenyans and finally you deliver nothing. So that message went on very well, and Parliament participated, Executive participated, and Judiciary. Justice Lesit came to pray with us, and prayed for the nation, and she represented the Chief Justice, and therefore that's how the government comes together once a year for the leadership to dedicate the nation to God. And just like our Constitution says, we acknowledge that God, the Almighty, is our God.
Thank you. Right, you can tell us also what the Senate is all about in Mombasa today.
Well, they're just different
committees,
preparing different reports. You remember the National Assembly went away for a month to prepare the budgets. During the course of, many people petition. There are petitions which come to Senate on different problems, land injustices, whereby even matters have never been taken to court, but people are losing their land, easements. So there are many different committees where there have been petitions. I'm in the Committee of Agriculture and also Committee of Delegated Legislation, and I'm also in the committee which prepares for the sports, the yearly Eastern African sports. And now this year Kenya is going to host all the Eastern African sports, and they will be held in Mombasa. We need to mark out the stadiums. We need to because we are going to host a lot of people, we need to find out where those who play golf, where they'll play golf, those who play football, which stadiums, then volleyball and like that, basketball, all those, so that when the countries come to compete here in December, we are well prepared, and we can receive them the way we have been received in other countries. Last year we were in Rwanda, the other year the sports were in Tanzania.
Thank you.
And even Juba.
But my question is, do you have to do this in Mombasa?
The facilities,
the discussions, do you have to do them in Mombasa, not the sporting facility?
We have, when you look at...
We just launched the Bunga Towers, for heaven's sake, just a few weeks ago, and we thought the president was also really particularly intent, saying that we need to reduce the cost of hiring these hotels to have these meetings. Why are we having... and you have chambers where you can discuss these issues.
Well, sometimes when you are doing report writing, I'll tell you what happens.
You need some...
when you are doing report writing, you need to lock up people somewhere. You just need to sit without other disruptions.
So you can't be locked out
when you are in Nairobi...
In the Bunga Towers.
Well,
no, it's a matter of discipline. There's so many people who write reports.
Most of the committees hold their meetings in Bunga Towers, and you will find that even the space in Bunga Towers is not enough. You have to wait for one committee to finish, so that in fact we still hire KICC. When you are doing like public participation, or different people are coming to make presentations on their issues, like there were tea farmers, coffee farmers, sugar farmers. When they come, sometimes you haven't even to use the main chamber. We use the chamber so that you can accommodate all these people.
This is your writing report. You don't need... If it was a public participation, we'll understand. There is no public participation in this.
What happens is, anyway, because each committee has their chair and their vice, and they have a budget. They can do it anywhere. Some teams actually have gone to Eldoret. Some teams are working in Eldoret.
It doesn't matter where they're working.
Recently, we were doing public participation on cashew nuts. Just the same committee, and we went to Kwale. So because you have to go to where the farmers are.
Yeah, and that will understand. But the fact that you're writing a report that you have to go to Mombasa is what actually we're inclined to wonder, why can't you hold it at the
You can write the report here.
Yes.
You can write
that's the issue.
You can if the place is overbooked by different committees, and National Assembly is still working on budget and this controversial finance bill, all those things are being prepared now. But if they have chosen to go and in fact, when you are doing this, you also engage the executive, the PSS, and the ministers.
I think that is really
so sometimes
to justify.
No, sometimes they say they make a proposal themselves. In fact, this is a proposal from the PS for agriculture,
which is
the crops. If they say, "Can we meet in this place?" If they make a proposal, you second. And you meet there.
But for heaven's sake, we've had the control of budgets, or it has been raised here that since we had that austerity measures of reducing you know, the traveling, it has not gone down. In fact, the same state departments are notorious for defying this particular order. So they're the people who are telling you where to meet.
Well, once they make a proposal,
and you as a legislator, do you just, you know, go by their suggestion, or you cannot give a countermanding suggestion as well?
You can, and it has happened, but what happens is, and I want to agree with you, it's a matter of personal discipline of the members anyway. But sometimes when you have something you want to sit 24 hours, and you get everybody seated there around a table, sometimes you need to move them away from their constituency so that they can concentrate. When you are near your constituency, a telephone call will come, and you will excuse yourself from the committee and you go to the constituency. You know, a lot of times, in fact, some of us who are near Nairobi, you see I'm just an hour away from Makueni County. So if there's something happening in Malili or in Sultanahmud, it will force me to leave Parliament and go and attend to it.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, talking about KANU, the former ruling party KANU now says it will appeal the court's ruling revoking the Kenyatta International Convention Center, KICC, land titles. The Milimani High Court declared that the land on which KICC sits belong to the government, and if we could just go faster a bit, and revokes the title held by KANU party. Judge Jacqueline, I think I have a problem there with my autocue, so I'll go slower. Judge Jacqueline Mugeni issued the ruling saying that the ownership of the KICC building to the KANU party did not follow the correct legal procedure. Let's just have that story.
The KICC International House has been part of the ruling KANU party for a long time, since the days of the late Mzee Jomo Kenyatta and his successor Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. But now the ownership of the building has been entrusted to the Tourism Ministry by the Milimani High Court Judge Jacqueline Mugeni. KANU filed the case before the Environment and Land Court in 2020. It sought to reclaim the land, saying it was allocated to it in May 1969 by the Commissioner of Lands. The High Court ruled that the Kenyatta International Convention Center, KICC, belongs to the government of Kenya, dismissing the petition. In a ruling on Monday, Judge Jacqueline Mugeni said the Commissioner of Lands in 1989 had no power to alienate the land to KANU. Justice Mugeni said the land was illegally and unlawfully acquired by KANU. She revoked the title issued in the name of KANU and issued a declaration that the Ministry of Tourism is the lawful owner of the land.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we shall witness the official opening of this magnificent building, whose foundation stone I had the pleasure of laying on 11 December 1967.
For years, KANU has claimed ownership of the property and had listed it among its assets in filings to the Registrar of Political Parties. KICC was thought to be the property of KANU until President Mwai Kibaki's government took over in 2003.
Mimi Mwai Kibaki naapa kwamba.
Husna Mohamed, KIT News, Nairobi.
Now, the rift between President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua has deepened, with latest reports indicating DP was yet again denied a military chopper to fly him to Bungoma for the just concluded 61st Madaraka Day celebrations. But as KTN's political affairs reporter Emmanuel Tonal explains, it is not the first time this is happening to the second in command, as President William Ruto also went through the same ordeal at the height of the messy divorce with President Uhuru Kenyatta then. And it seems it is the same script, different cast.
For President William Ruto and DP Gachagwa's differences, when it rains, it pours. The fallout between the two, which has escalated in the past month, is playing out like a movie script, starring the once bosom buddies who are slowly following in the script of the former Jubilee administration. The latest in the thriller is a claim that Gachagua was denied access to a military chopper to travel to Bungoma County for the Madaraka Day celebrations last Saturday. According to Gachagua's close allies, this is the third time the second-in-command has been humiliated by being denied military and police fixed planes and helicopters. According to sources, the DP was informed that he could not use the military chopper due to bad weather, forcing him to hire a commercial plane that took him to Bungoma and later to Nanyuki, where he was presiding over the Kikuyu Oldies music extravaganza. Gachagua also failed to acquire the services of the same military helicopter when he had organized to fly to Bungoma on Monday 27th for an exhibition in preparation for the Madaraka Day celebrations. Before that request was denied, Gachagua had used the same fixed wing while in Eldoret on Saturday and Sunday. Other sources, however, opined that there was no way Gachagua would have been granted his request since there are only 3 remaining VIP military choppers after the 4th one crashed with General Gola in April. One chopper must always remain on standby while the president flies one with an escort. However, this is not the first time Gachagua is unable to acquire the services of a military chopper. On May 10th, his request for a chopper to fly to Bomet County for the tree planting day was also declined. This was the last straw that broke the camel's back.
Sisi tuliunga Rais Ruto mkono kwa hiari yetu na kwa kupenda. Na tunaendelea kumuunga mkono. Tunaomba heshima kidogo.
However, the chopper and flight quarrels are not new to deputy presidents. In 2020, reports emerged that Ruto, then deputy president, was denied a military chopper to fly him to Mombasa on August 3, 2021. 2 years ago, there was also drama at the Wilson Airport as Ruto was blocked from traveling to Uganda, with officers at the airport then asking him to seek clearance with the head of public service and secretary to the cabinet, Joseph Kinyua. This comes as allies of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua revealed scheme to force the DP to resign as UDA wars deepen.
Wale ambao wanafikiria labda wanataka kutusitusi naibu wa rais, ati watishe, ati wafinye yeye mpaka atoroke, ndio ati 27 wabadilishe. Hiyo sisi tunasema naibu wa rais hii ni Rigathi Gachagua. Naibu wa rais 2027 ni Rigathi Gachagua.
Kama ingekuwa jamii ya Mount Kenya ikiongozwa na naibu wa rais Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua, atungepata 51%.
Na hii watu wanaanza kukoroga naibu wa rais na rais. Tumesema masiku yenu yanahesabika na imefika mwisho.
Emmanuel To, KTN News, Nairobi.
Stand by. Tukae chini. Mic is on.
Now, in the voted plan to merge parties within the ruling coalition, Kenya is picking pace ahead of the 2027 general elections. This amidst concerns by affiliate parties, most of whom are hesitant to take the step for the fear of losing their negotiating power. Already, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi's ANC party has bought the idea as the party leaders graft modalities to bring on board the other members. Jeff Kirui has more.
Political realignments ahead of the 2027 polls have begun in earnest. President William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza plotting a strategy to merge parties within the ruling coalition.
Tunazungumza kuna majadiliano ya maja. Okay? Sheria ya vyama, Political Parties Act, inakubali political maja.
President Ruto's United Democratic Alliance Party has taken charge of the new push with the hope of convincing their political partners to buy into the idea.
And as a party, we have said our dream is to have a monolithic party which is going to outlive its current leadership. Is to have a party which is founded on ideologies is to have a party which has got the vision of the country at heart. And therefore, we want to throw into the dustbin the idea of people just coming up with political parties as vehicles to get into government.
The current push akin to the 2016 merger between retired President Uhuru Kenyatta's TNA and Ruto's URP that gave birth to the Jubilee Party that went on to take power in 2017. A move that has affiliate parties concerned about the possibility of folding their parties and losing the negotiating power. In the push, the coalition is confronted with options, among them to dissolve the affiliate parties and join the majority party with numbers in the bicameral parliament, or fold all the parties and form a totally new political outfit.
When you hear the ANC, our ANC counterparts, offering a suggestion on having a merger as opposed to dissolving their party and joining us, we come with an open mind. We say, okay, can we now advance that talk? But our suggestion is it possible that we already have a strong party in the name of UDA? Why should we dissolve a strong party in the name of UDA to start another party, to start selling another brand? So these are some of the things that we shall be putting on the weighing scale.
However, this move appears to unsettle UDA counterparts in the coalition, most of whom prefer the formation of a coalition political party.
Wengi walifikiri wakati tulileta earthquake kwamba tumepotea. Ni sisi ndio tumeunda serikali. Kwa hivyo nikiambia watu kwamba ANC ina mazungumzo ya merger, msifikiri ni kitu kidogo. Tunalenga mbele.
According to political pundits, a merger is a political option that with it comes political casualties.
It is never good when parties merge into one unit. Believe you me, we're going to have factions.
Is it in the interest of William Ruto that these parties fold? And from a very neutral political analysis, I will tell you no. Because when you fold Ford Kenya, for example, you are rendering Honorable Moses Wetangula almost irrelevant in the politics of Western Kenya, and particularly the politics of Bungoma and Trans Nzoia.
Whichever way, the party's top leadership face a tough balancing act to tame an impending fallout ahead of the 2027 polls. Jeff Kirui, KTN News.
All right, finally, political leaders from the coastal region have expressed lack of confidence in the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Mithika Linturi, who has been given the task of leading discussions to find a solution to end the ongoing standover. That is over the Muguka trade in the coastal region and other parts of the country. And Musungu has more.
Led by Gertrude Mbeyu, the woman representative Kilifi County, these leaders point out that they will only participate in discussions led by President William Ruto. They insist that the president is the only one with sufficient authority to lead these complex discussions regarding the Muguka trade issue.
Hatutaki Muguka pwani. Hatutaki hii sumu inaletewa vijana wetu. Sisi twalipa bursaries. Rais hii asikie. Hii pesa ni ya serikali. Tuenda kuwalipia kina nani? Kama watoto wetu watakuwa wamekuwa mazombi, wako kwenye vibaraza, hawafikiri vizuri.
The chairperson of the Coastal Parliamentarian Association, Danson Washako, and Kilifi North MP Owen Baya have insisted that Muguka trade will not continue in coastal region.
Bado limegonga vichwa vya habari ni swala la Muguka ambao tunajua ni sumu ambayo inamaliza vijana wetu, inamaliza wasichana wetu, inamaliza watu wetu wa pwani. Sisi kama viongozi tumejadiliana kutoka asubuhi, tumeleta wataalamu wa mambo haya wakatuonyesha scientific evidence ya kuonyesha ni vipi basi Muguka inavyodhuru watu wetu. Na jambo ambalo limetutia uoga, kando na kuleta saratani, tumeona kwamba Muguka unapunguza zile chembe-chembe za kiume.
Elsewhere, religious leaders in Kwale County have criticized Governor Fatuma Achani for failing to ban the use of Muguka despite existing national laws. They have also opposed the proposal to increase taxes on Muguka transportation, saying it will promote the business.
Katika maneno yake tumenukuu kwamba anasema kwamba anaogopa sheria isije ikamchukua ikampeleka vibaya. Lakini tunasema sheria upangwa, na ikiwa wameruhusu kwamba ni cash crop, lakini imethubutu kwamba ni uzao ambao kwamba una madhara, sheria yaweza ikakaliwa kwenye bunge na ikabadilishwa na isifanye kazi.
Speaking in Mombasa County, Ugunja MP Opiyo Wandayi also supports coastal leaders in the ban of the use of miraa and muguka in the region.
We associate ourselves fully with the position taken by the leadership of the coast region in saying no to the sale and consumption of muguka in the coast. For the simple reason that first and foremost, it is evident that muguka has wreaked havoc on the lives and livelihoods of a vast majority of the young people in the coast region.
And Musumketi News, Nairobi.
All right, we want to take a short break right now. Of course, when we circle back, we shall be looking at those and a raft of issues regarding the taxes as well, which is big, where the industry players are raising hesitations on the new taxes that has been proposed in the 2024-2025 financial bill. And also, we shall be looking at what is the way forward right now with the NATCO report with the panelists here. Also from the Senate, it seems that there is some suggestions on the constitution of RBC from a delegation, that is the Legislative Delegation Committee. We'll circle back with more. Don't go away. You're watching Siasa Festa here on Morning Prime.